Dennis Flint. What a character. Before I have a little chat about Dennis, just this look is I'm doing it really, I suppose, to wind the wife up. But this weekend I've gone for the gay hard man look. Or like a 70s footballer. Like Graham Souness. Yeah, in my opinion, you're not really a proper man unless you've had a moustache. I'm trying to look for like Tosh from the Bill. But anyway, that's that. Dennis Flint. Um, what a character! What an unbelievable character! It's very sad that there's only about 3.5 minutes of Dennis on that Paul Sykes at Large. Um, when the makers made that Paul Sykes at Large, they were so interested in Dennis as a person. They actually wanted to do something on Dennis himself. Dennis was born in, I think it was I'm very sure it was Doncaster. He passed in 2001, September 2001. Larger than life character, as you can see on the documentary. One policeman said to me, I said, "How did you find him?" Wakefield officer. And he said he was like Paul Sykes with a business brain. Very astute business guy. Made a lot of money in the 50s, buying and selling cars, shipping them from Singapore. I've spoke to some members of the Flint family. I'm really hoping that we can do a book on Dennis because I think he really deserves one. And I think it'd be massive because a lot of people see Dennis and think, well, who was he? I spoke to some members of the Flint family, which they're possibly up for it. But he was a highly successful businessman. Huge golfing fan, was into his golf, loved Italian opera, particularly Luciano Pavarotti. He was a guy who would take no shit. I think a couple of years before he died in 2001, he was robbed, or someone tried to rob him. And his one of the family said that for years, or for a little time after that, he kept a gun. And basically, his attitude was, if they come here again, they're going to get this. Unbelievable character. What a guy. We've dug some pictures out, courtesy of David Flint, very kindly give us them, because obviously he knows the interest in his remarkably highly successful grandfather is great. It was a wig, obviously, in the documentary, but he used to wear wigs that came from, like, I forgot what it was called, but it was a place where in London, which was like the most expensive wigs in the world. Like, some of the members of the royal family used to get them from there. Loved his cigars, as you could see on the documentary. Loved his whiskey. Loved the ladies. One guy told me he was a doorman in what was it? Rooftop Gardens, I think it was. Anyway, he said Dennis was always coming in and like putting £50 notes in his pockets. He said he would never take them because if he did, that meant he was in his debt for the rest of the night. And he would say, "Oh, I like the look of them ladies over there. Can you bring them over there to speak to me?" That kind of thing. But yeah, he was. I think I would have. He's been gone sadly now for 20 years this year. I think he was about 65 when he passed. It's in the book anyway, but I can't think off the top of my head. But he was just, what a remarkable character. I often say to my wife some one-liners. I've been doing it for nearly 10 years now. I often say to my mates, "But did you get your wages? Did you get your wages?" I would have lost a limb to have sat there with Dennis and smoked his cigars and drank some whiskey. All the gold he had on, and hopefully, I can sit with David Flint, his grandson, after lockdown, and we can do a book. Because he's just. If you Google the name, I've read some of the forums, and there's a massive interest in Dennis Flint. He was obviously a really interesting character in the first place. You know, everything he did was, you know, he was a huge success. Died very sadly about 65, as I said, and quite very bit early. I read a few things on he finished his days out on a boat in a yacht doing you know, just living the high life, and in I think it's very fitting that in the old house, what you see on the documentary, which is, what's it called? It's on Heath Common. I think it's called something like Rosebarn Cottage. There's a bench which marks just outside Dennis's house, and there's a plaque on it. If anyone wants to see, it's actually on the Paul Sykes social media page. But it says something like, Dennis was here. He's now above, waiting to greet you all. He was just a guy who loved to party, loved the whiskey, and was a larger than life character. And on the documentary, you see him, you hear him first, which Roger Greenwood said to me, I did that on purpose, because you can hear him go, oh, ho, ho, Paul, hi, great to see, oh, that's Kenny. You can hear him kind of laughing. And then you see him, and then you see the desk, which is in Bits, I believe, in Lincolnshire. Yeah, but and that was done for comedy value. And you know, Roger Greenwood and Nick Lord said to me they did it on obviously for that added effect. And what a guy! It would have been, you know, I think he backs up my theory on there would have been more in him, because the comedians Bob Mortimer and Vic Reeves, if you look on our channel, you'll see Dennis. Sorry, I think it's Vic Reeves dressed like Dennis, all in black, wig, gold, Yorkshire accent, and he's it's like a spoof. That was because I spoke to Bob Mortimer about a year or two back on Twitter, and he actually put a post on which said something along the lines of that inspired our character. But I spoke to Ricky Gervais a couple of years back briefly on Twitter. You've got to message him about 20 times to get a reply, obviously, because he's got the millions on. But you know, when League of Gentlemen, Jamie Carragher is always one talking about Paul Sykes at large, and I think Dennis Flint, in my opinion, when that documentary is full of unbelievable characters. You've got at the start the governor who's got a beard up to here, but looks like a werewolf. What else? Delroy Showers. Oh God, what is it? Kenny the tailor. Too True, the singers. Old Walter, giving him a penny for every one of them, and for sit-ups and all that. And Betty, a lot of people. It's a lot of nasty comments on YouTube about her, making reference to Bo Selector. Yeah, but that documentary is littered with unbelievable one-liners and really interesting characters. But for me, Dennis Flint, you know, there's no comparison. And as I said, I would have loved to have absolutely met him. And yeah, you know, but hopefully I'm going to be doing a book with David Flint, his grandson, and just watch his space. Yeah, I'm actually, you know, the more I look at this, do you know, I look like that guy in Halo Pace. The more I'm looking at this moustache now, the more I think I'm actually just going to keep it. But that's another story. But yeah, Dennis Flint, what a character, and I think was equally as interesting as Paul Sykes. You know, it's a crying shame that there's just that little bit, because them little snippets of him. I mean, I've seen the memes and everything. It's them bits of him. You can just, if you Google Dennis Flint, there's lots of memes, lots of forums, and you've only got to read the comments to just people just like, wow, who the hell was that guy? But yeah, it is a great shame that there was only ever them little bits of Dennis. But yeah, highly successful businessman. His family, David said to me, was never a criminal. Everything he achieved in his life with the Rolls Royces, he did it by pure hard work, and he was an ultra successful businessman, and he's still remembered today. So hopefully there's going to be a Dennis Flint book, guys. So that's my just take on Dennis Flint. Leave your comments below. What do you think of him? What do you think of my moustache? I think it looks the mutts nuts. But there you go. Right, thank you so much, guys, for listening to me. God bless, and don't forget to click and subscribe.